Good afternoon. So you want to know how to make most out of the OGP program, one aspect, and second one is overall like 2025 के लिए how to prepare, and third one maybe bit of answer writing, right? So very briefly I will discuss all these things. Yeah. So coming to super OGP program. So it is super OGP because you people are treated as superhumans here. So who have the ability to write from day one itself. So you are introduced to answer writing from the very first week, and when I met you yesterday, you were happy that you wrote your first test. You were unhappy that you couldn't write well, but at least you are happy that you wrote something, right? Yes. So how to make or how to use this program for the next attempt, right? So there are certain interesting aspects of this examination which keep changing every year, right? That most of the people might not be aware of, right? How are you viewing this examination? Like you are going to prepare for the 25 attempt, and what is there in your mind when you are thinking of 25 attempt? Like, are you ambitious to think that you want to be in top 10, top 100, or are you just looking at let me complete the syllabus, let me complete optional and give my prelims and clear prelims first and then start thinking about mains? Like, what is your current mindset right now? How are you looking at yourself and at the examination? To become a topper. Yes. So are you really serious about it? Yes. Like it is kind of so well settled within you that you really want to achieve success in 25 attempt. Yes. So you are confident about yourself that you want to achieve success in the 25 attempt, right? So the second question, if that dream or that desire is very strong, how many hours you are willing to dedicate, as a commitment towards that particular dream? Every day, how many hours you are willing to commit or dedicate? Removing the classes, after classes like 6 hours, then 6 to 8 hours. So overall 12 to 14 hours, right? Good. Do you have any kind of fears in your mind? Any fears, small or big, with respect to unpredictability of the examination? Yes.
What I know, I won't be able to implement that in the exam.
Okay. Time management, implementation, unpredictability, and then
starting from zero.
Starting from zero.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
कंटिन्यूटी नहीं हो पाता, जैसे एक हफ्ते तक अगर ठीक से रूटीन चल रहा है उसके बाद एक दिन ऐसा आएगा कि पूरा फिर से सब शुरू करना पड़ेगा और ब्रेक हो जाता है.
Lack of consistency issues. Then
Also the continuous motivation year after year.
year after year, like
That is hard to kind of
continuous motivation. Fine. So one observation that I have made with respect to this examination. So as far as I understand, those who clear prelims and write mains, if there are 10,000 students writing mains, now 14,000 are writing. If there are 10,000 writing mains, so I think my estimation is that 3,000 people are first time, they are writing mains for the first time, at least 3,000, like 30%. So it is their first attempt towards mains for the 30% of the students who are writing mains. Now this 30% of the students, how many of them are serious, right? Serious in the sense that they have done really thorough preparation with respect to optional, answer writing and everything. So maybe another like 30% among this 30%, which comes to maybe 1,000 if it is 10,000 people, right? Now the trend of examination, as far as I understand based on my interaction and insights and everything, is that these 1,000 students bring freshness to the examination of that year, right? They bring fresh content. Basic content will be same. They would have achieved certain extra value addition because they are not molded by any coaching institution. Maybe they got better education from better colleges and university, right? So they maintain the originality aspect. Compared to rest 90% of the competition, so they have something fresh to offer in terms of presentation, in terms of content, in terms of approach, right? More of originality. So now based on the benchmark set by these 1000 individuals, among 1000, let us say another 500, right? Rest of the competition is evaluated is what my understanding. So this cycle I think they have introduced recently, like 3-4 years ago. So that is why we see more number of freshers scoring highest marks in more number of optional and also in GS papers, right, compared to the old veterans or old timers or veterans or people who are giving multiple attempts, right. Now why am I telling this is that you have to treat yourself to be part of that 1000 students, who are going to write mains next year. So now answer evaluation is going to be relative to the freshness that you are going to bring in the mains examination. So those students who do not update, those candidates who have written mains and interview previous attempt, those who do not update their content, those who do not update their optional notes, those who do not do proper answer writing practice with mentorship, with personal guidance, I think they keep seeing, either they get stuck, their marks will be either stuck or the marks will be coming down because it is compared with the new fresh content. Why this fresh content important is that it is in the context of UPSC's aim of choosing good people for the administration, right? Those who are creative, those who are who show better understanding of the concepts, application of the concepts, right? They want to destroy the coaching industry. The UPSC wants to destroy the coaching industry in the sense that they don't want coached people in the administration, right? Somebody who is repeating only coaching notes, who is repeating what is taught in the class, right? That is the reason the fresh talents are given more importance, both in mains and as well as in interview also. So I am seeing talented people in the first interview scoring 200 plus, more and more numbers. That is what I am seeing. So now you must be understanding why I am telling. So your approach towards this examination should be in this direction, right? So I think Super OGP program intends to achieve this. So we are teaching you basic concepts in the classroom, the foundation course. So that and all you are getting, but at the same time, every day, every week, you are getting an opportunity to experiment with that knowledge. I don't say apply that knowledge, experiment with the knowledge, right? So you have that freedom. So treat this entire phase of OGP program at least till December, right, as a learning phase where you are experimenting and learning and developing more originality, right? More originality. So where do we see originality? When you write an answer or essay, the way you write your introduction, right? The introduction must be original. It should not be definition. It should not be quoting of a report or a number, right? So what people do is that they just define what is there in the question, one keyword. So there will be 4 or 5 keywords. You will choose the most familiar keyword and then you will define. So even if question starts with what is organic farming or define organic farming, then also don't start with definition, right? No, I have discussed with the teacher also, right? If the question is just define organic farming, what is organic farming, then you can start with that. But if the question is what is organic farming, right? So in the light of climate change and in the light of global hunger increasing, do you think organic farming is going to be a viable solution for the future, right? Something like this. So if it has another question in addition to the first question, then you have to see the question in its entirety. It is one single question with 2 or 3 parts. So the introduction is given for the entire answer, right, to address all parts of the question, not just for the one part of the You are not writing just one part, right? You are going to address other parts. So what is introduction? Introduction is not for the one part of the question. Introduction is for all the parts. So in the introduction, some talk about climate change, talk about global hunger, food security, right? And all the vagaries and uncertainties associated with agriculture, right? So broad introduction. The introduction should be as broad as possible. Do you have any question here? Maybe we'll randomly pick up some question. This is our website. Insta course. No, yes, you can give a question or.
Define organic farming.
No, apart from that question, any.
What do you mean by MSP?
Mhm.
How will MSP rescue the farmers from low income trap?
Okay. No, I am just checking with like this secure question which we post every day. Art and culture heritage in our country face various risks. Discuss the efforts being taken to protect it with particular emphasis on Project Pari. Okay, that is one question. And then the powers, privileges and immunities of Parliament and its members as envisaged in Article 105 of the Constitution leave room for a large number of uncodified and unenumerated privileges to continue. Assess the reasons for the absence of legal codification of the parliamentary privileges. How can this problem be addressed? So there are two parts to the question, right? One is assess the reasons for the absence of legal codification, and how can this problem be addressed. So they have given a context. First statement is the context, right? It's the topic of the question. Power, privileges and immunities of Parliament and its members under Article 105 of the Constitution leave room for a large number of uncodified and unenumerated privileges. So these members enjoy lots of privileges which are not codified and not enumerated, maybe in the either rules of the Parliament or somewhere, right? Now the thing is, when you want to write an introduction, look at the broadest concept in the question, right? A question will have like 2 or 3 concepts. So in this question you have the word powers, the privileges, immunities, the word Parliament is there, and then member of Parliament, that word is also there, right? And codification is there, and the Constitution, the word is there. Parliamentary privilege, there are 4 to 5 keywords. So among those 4 to 5 keywords, which is the broadest concept you can think of?
Or constitution.
Which is broadest, Constitution or Parliament or member of Parliament or privileges? Broadest concept? Constitution, right? So instead of just writing about what is privilege or what is power, even the word power is also broad. So even beyond Constitution also you can look at the power as the broad concept also, but let us take the Constitution. So at the core of the introduction, there should be something related to the Constitution, not repeating Article 105, what is there in the question, right? Talk about the Constitution itself, and then add to that Constitution the Parliament angle, the next big concept, right? So and talk about not just the privileges, maybe if you know that there are similar loopholes or similar unconventional things that are there as part of the Indian polity, right? So you can bring that and say that one among them important issue is the privileges in the context of, if you know any current affairs, somebody might have misused the parliamentary privileges, right? Because it is not codified, and somebody might not have been punished for it, for misuse of something, right? So there will be a context because it will be given some article here. Breach of privilege proceedings can be remitted back to the Legislative Assembly, AG tells. So some case is going on in Madras High Court. So in that context they have asked the question. But did you get the idea about what should be there in the introduction?
Then the introduction may become known
Let it be long. Again, it should not be longer than 2 sentences. If you start writing more and more introduction, you will know how to condense, make your introductions concise. Now, why this is important? So, you should ask me a question like why this approach, right? The thing is, number one, do you have conceptual clarity and have you understood the significance of the question? You can understand significance of any question only if you know the context and also you know the significance from a wider and broader sense, not from a very micro sense, right? Broader implications for the Indian polity itself, the constitution itself, right? So, the deeper understanding of the issue plus the way you want to apply from broad to narrow concept. So, that should be reflected in the introduction first. So, in the body part you can elaborate, you can divide into various parts, right. So, and then you can go on dividing the question. So, in the body also you have to divide your question based on your understanding of the question, to which part you have to give more weightage and to which part you have to give less weightage. This is important. What some people do is that they try to give equal weightage to all the parts of the question and then missing out certain other parts, right. By the time you come to the third part, you might be having lesser space while writing the answer. You will end up rushing the answer and writing the conclusion. So, here the word assess. So, here to know the weightage of the which part is important, look at the directive word. If the question is directly define or what, so the weightage is less, right, less than like let us say percentage wise, like maybe 10 or 20%, 10% of the content you are going to write, right, if it is just define. Whenever there is question related to define or what, once you define, compulsorily follow it by writing examples. I saw so many people writing answers, you define organic farming or you define what is food security or you define another, there was another concept, but there were no examples, right. There was one question on millets, like so you have written, oh, I don't know if she is here, like yeah, she has written answer on millet, but there is not a single example of millets in the 2-page content she has written on the millet, right. So, that is wrong. I want to know, like about millet and types of millets, to which category they belong, species or what. If possible, put a bracket and mention one scientific name also, right. So, deeper understanding, right, the significance. So, maybe in the introduction or in the definition and followed by the example. Now, this is called directive word, assess, and then another directive word, there is no directive word, the second part is how can this be addressed, it is asking for your solutions, right. So, now the major part is this, at least 50% of the answer, right. So, after the introduction, here define what is power, privilege and immunities for this question. After introduction, you have to define the key concepts in every GS answer, and that should consume the first 1/3 space of your booklet, like. So, you write introduction, right. So, here this much part you define and then you give example, you define privilege, give example, you define power, give example, you define immunity and give example. So, make sure that your concepts are clear, and when you give example, the application of the concept, the application of concept, how they are played out in the day-to-day current affairs. So, only this much part, right, that is not the core part of the answer. You are writing that to make your own concepts clear and to make us clear that your concept, right, it is a two-way thing. So, after that the first subheading is related to the core of the question, what is the core demand here, assessment whether they should be codified or not codified or what, reasons for absence, here you have to find out the reasons for the absence of legal codification, right, you have to find the reasons. Yes.
Sir, if we are defining what is the privilege that the member of parliaments are getting, while stating the examples, should we write like this that the other than various privileges that they are enjoying, such as immunity from the judiciary. Should we go like this, or do we
Just the keywords.
just use the key?
Just give one example. Again, in the body you can give while giving the reasons. Like, for example, certain privilege might not be codified, certain powers may not be codified. You have to give the reasons why. Right? While giving the reason, you can add extra examples if you know.
So can we make a diagram of it?
You can make diagram. Any presentation that you think is easy for evaluator to notice and appreciate.
So if it's a 10 marks.
Then also you can write diagram. It doesn't matter how many marks. See, every single word that you are writing in the answer paper should be of certain value. Remove all unnecessary words which are not required. Right? You don't have to explain in GS papers. So remove all the unnecessary words. Focus more on the visibility of key concepts, key words, key examples, rather than unnecessarily elaborating and explaining everything. Right? Because English is such a language, using 3-4 words you can convey the point. You don't have to write all the verbs, adverbs and everything, right? So 50% means if it is for 250 words, so 1.5 sides. While giving reasons, you have to talk about case law, Supreme Court example, like if there are any committees that were formed, if there were any Supreme Court observations with respect to this, if Parliament itself had taken certain stance, any parliamentary committee talking about this particular thing. So you will have that value addition. So if it is paper 2, ensure that constitutional reference must be there, any case law, right, Supreme Court, any judgment on this regard, or any reports will be there sometimes. Like for example, Association for Democratic Reforms, ADR, there is this NGO, right, it keeps periodically it keeps a track record of, and then PSR legislative. Have you come across that? PRS legislative, sorry. No, I am just, polity teacher will teach you bills and acts, policies, okay, bills, committee reports. They are kept ministry wise. You can check out, right. So these websites will have reports. Maybe you can check like if there is any report on privileges and regarding codification, why it is not codified, right. So you can quote that report. So one is Constitution, Supreme Court cases and any committees or any reports. Another one is any policy with respect to this, right. So that is the value addition. Then comes the conclusion part. Then the another part, how 1/3 of the weightage for the how part. So it's basically solution part, right. So that solution should also be for the namesake, like government should properly implement this. They should do this, they should do that. Don't write general points, right. The point should be specific and they should be like action oriented, something practical points may be recommended by certain experts or which you think is logical, rather than vaguely suggesting they have to do this and that, and they should also be followed with examples, right. Maybe some constitutional expert might have recommended something, so mention a name and write what is that recommendation. Even if there are only 2 or 3 points, ensure that they are really qualitative. You don't have to fill the page with vague. When you are writing, you should know you are writing a very generic point and obvious point. If that is what you are writing, follow it up with an example to make it valuable, right. Otherwise don't write it. It is just a waste. You are not going to get marks for it. The same words you can save it for writing in another answer. If you are writing a test, you can write more number of answers. So when somebody is writing mains, they commit this mistake. They want to fill the pages. So few more answers will suffer because you are filling with unnecessary words. So this Super OGP program gives you an opportunity to experiment. So when you are writing the weekly test, so now we may be giving 10 questions or 20 questions. Like, don't get carried away. Choose 5 questions or 6 questions or based on your ability. Experiment. Take your own time. Even if you are taking 20 minutes to write one 250 word answer, it is perfectly fine. But make it a habit to write quality introductions and quality body and quality conclusion, and then evolve your own way of presentation, right, to give more visibility to your day. That should be revised and should be complemented with content from standard sources, right. My suggestion, your notes should be your own notes. She should not see your notes, and vice versa, right. Ensure that, of course, you can discuss issues, you can debate and all, but at the end of the day, based on your wisdom and your speed of learning, speed of comprehension, speed of your understanding, ensure that you have your own unique notes, right. And how do you know that it is unique and original? You should understand the depth of the competition. Sometimes what happens, because we come from various background, we won't be having certain background in terms of like humanities, if somebody is coming from engineering, and even if somebody is coming from humanities, what they will do is that, because as I said, you are starting from zero, everything you are learning will look like it is already more compared to what you had learnt, but you will not be knowing the idea that it is actually not enough from the competition perspective. You are getting this point. From the competition perspective, what you think you have already achieved is not enough, but from your perspective you will be thinking that no, मैंने ज़्यादा सीख लिया, ज़्यादा लिख लिया, so you will think your notes is best, but from the competition perspective that may not be the best. So we should be aware of the competition and depth, and how the people who are scoring highest marks, like 120 in GS papers, 130 or 140 in essay papers, to what level they have built their content. You should be aware of that, right. For that you have mentorship, right, and I'll be coming like once in 10 days regularly. So you come and show your notes also, come and show your answers also, right. So we will keep telling you this is not enough, so you have to learn more, right, you have to dig more. Now again, when we talk about digging more, it should be like selective, not for each and every topic that you are coming across, right. Anything that has direct implication, relevance to the syllabus, and anything before the syllabus, what is most important is last 10 years of mains papers and the last 29 years of prelims question papers. Every single topic that has appeared in previous UPSC examinations, right, they are the most important topics. So now what you need to do is that agriculture, take last 29 years of prelims question paper, every single keyword related to agriculture, right, every single keyword related to agriculture, you list them, right. And NCERT, you have to read any agri chapter that are there in all the NCERT science textbooks, right. Third one, every agri topic that has come in the mains question papers, right. Sometimes they pick directly from the syllabus, sometimes they link it with some other concept and give it. So it need not be a keyword, it can be a concept or it can be a phrase also sometimes. So list them down, be perfect with those concepts. Be perfect means you should be updating them with the current affairs periodically, and the very concepts related to those keywords should be crystal clear. You should know what is mixed cropping, we should know what is rotation cropping, we should know intercropping, whatever it is, right. What is mulching and whatever you come, organic farming and contract farming, lease farming, various types of farming, whatever you come across. What is climate resilient farming, what is climate smart farming. There are so many things with respect to climate. Any concept that you come across, right, the conceptual clarity must be crystal clear, So that is where you differentiate, as I said, from the top layer of the competition. People who have conceptual clarity, who show that in their answers, they are always given excellent marks. Even when you miss certain examples here and there, they actually get the marks. And without understanding the concept, sometimes you cannot you cannot apply it. You will be applying it based on your general understanding, your general interpretation of the concept. But you know the specific concept and under which context it is asked. Your answer top to bottom will be relevant. It will stay relevant, right? So the relevancy and the context and conceptual clarity and the value addition which you are doing based from standard textbooks and the current affairs. And when it comes to agriculture, I am sure the teacher will be telling you, have you come across the Down to Earth magazine, right? No. Down to Earth, there is this magazine Down to Earth and Kurukshetra, you know that, Yojana and Kurukshetra magazines. So agriculture related articles will be coming in frequently. So it's a monthly magazine, you can just check and anything related to agriculture, anything related to environment. See. So there is something related to pink bollworms thrive in higher temperatures, need for better pest management. It could be a prelims question, and this is something related to drought and soil. You don't have to read everything, right? Strategic planting of energy crops like related to question related to energy crops. Teacher may not teach, but you should know the application part of the concepts you are learning. So what you think is important? Important in the sense that what is important. How will you know that what is important in the current affairs? One is relevance to syllabus. I mean, even if it is relevant to syllabus, you should know it has deeper implication, a broader implication, more universal implication, that concept. If it is like too narrow, you can ignore. If it has broader implication, then you can go for it. For example, this is not required. Bachelor farmers in Karnataka break. From society perspective, you can just remember the point, right? But you don't have to dig deeper the article. The UNESCO wants 90% of, like here you might come across certain concepts, right? So anything related to current affairs and analysis, this website, and I think Kurukshetra selectively, it's a very dry magazine with lots of unnecessary content about rural development and agriculture. You can very selectively you can go for it, but more current dimensions, more analysis, websites like this will offer you, right? So while doing agriculture, let's say you are doing it for 10 to 15 days, this previous year question analysis plus updation of your notes and answering as many questions as possible, both previous year and mains. So that should be done, and once it is done, right, when the next subject starts, at least spend 1 or 2 hours in a week to revise agriculture, right? So don't totally get carried away with the new subject, right? You should be aware of it, right? One subject is over and you have to keep revising. So that is like whenever, like in newspaper you will come across something related to agriculture. When you keep reading this monthly magazine, you will come across certain things related to agriculture. So you spend, I don't think it will take much time to revise your notes. Once it is properly done while completion of the subject, second, third revision will hardly take few hours. So you have to keep doing that after every subject, and there is going to be a full length test of 20 questions, and then going to be an evaluation of it, and then another subject, another full length test. But before every full length test, ensure that you keep revising your older subjects, even if it is at the cost of the new subject. You might compromise 20, 30, 40% of the revision of new subject, but ensure that the old one is not forgotten, especially if it is agriculture, environment, right, polity, economy, geography. these 5 broad subject, multiple revisions, right, is very important. So, the similar approach you have to do for all the topics, previous year questions, topics, being really good with those topics that have appeared in previous question papers and the concepts that are there in the NCERT textbooks. Some concepts may be there in NCERT, might not have been asked in previous years, but that concept is also extremely important, because NCERT is your boundary, right. How do you know that what to study for art and culture? Mains, have they given details? How do you know that what to study for world history in mains, right, or for the modern history? Whatever topics that are there in NCERT, you have to go deeper, right. That is what is the NCERT for, right, to also understand the concepts. So, anything that is there in the NCERT, anything that is there in the previous year question paper, and anything that appears in the current affairs related to these. So, these 3 dimensions, if you are really perfect with these 3, right, you will really do well in the next examination. And do not look at score, do not get demotivated that you are not scoring high marks in the mock tests. Out of 50 questions, if you are getting 20 right, 30 wrong, learn those 30 questions, right, learn from those 30 questions, analyze all the options, learn extra content, and next test definitely will improve. So, instead do not get like demotivated saying that I was university gold medalist here, I am not able to do well in these tests. No, I have heard these comments actually. So, do not feel that way, right. So, everything is part of the learning. You are learning every day you are learning till you give mains and interview. There is no end to it. It is not like your university syllabus, where you complete syllabus and feel like, I have done this part. If that was the case, people would score like 70-80% in the mains examination, right. If it was, everything was like predictable and fixed, they would score 60-70% in mains examination. Similarly in prelims, right. The highest is 52%, I think, 899 last year main score, right. So, your target should be 140 in essay paper. Just write down, I'll tell you a very realistic target, right, which you can achieve in the course of 1 year. 130 to 140, you can write 130 or 135 or 140 depending on where you want to go, right. Second, paper 1, 95 to 100, going by the last year trend I am talking, right, because very few people have scored more than 100 in GS paper 1, right, 95 to 100 maximum score. Paper 2, you can score up to 115 to 120, right, 115 to 120. Paper 3 again 90 to 95. Paper 4 120 to 130, GS 4. Optional 260 to 280 range, right. Now, just can you calculate both the score, like the lower limit and upper limit, how much it comes? I mean, when I said 130 to 140, 130 in paper 1, 90 in 95 in paper GS 1, 130 in essay, what is the total? How much?
Higher is 875.
Higher is 875.
Lower is 820.
Hmm?
Lower is 820.
820 and another one is
875.
875, right. Lower is 820. 820 or 825, ठीक है. 875 is the higher side, right. So 875 and if you score 201 in interview, you are in top 5. Or even if you score 190, you are in top 10. You can verify 875 plus 190 in the interview, you are all India top 5. 820 and Again 180 or something, you are top 100, you are in top 100. Got it? And prelims, how much you have to score? 100, keep like 100 in paper 1, 66.6 of course, but to be safer side 90 plus, aim 90 plus, right? So paper 1 100 plus, maybe next year if the same trend maintains, the cutoff will come around 90 something. This year it is obviously still 85 to 19 only, 86, 87 or 88. So next year it might come to 90, 95 if the same type of paper comes, right? And more number of vacancies go up. But the point here is that once you are very clear about what are your targets, right? Like I say, I have to achieve this much, which means you have to write essay and show to me, and from me you have to get from mentors somewhere like you should start getting 60, 65, 70 marks. It can be achieved in next 3 months, it can be achieved in next 6 months, or it can be achieved in next 9 months. Doesn't matter. You don't have to achieve within next 3 months. Take your own time, right? Eventually you will arrive there, right? So the progress should be like incremental and progressive, not sudden. It cannot be sudden also. So take your own time and ensure that if you are focusing on optional, don't get so unsettled with respect to optional, right? So enough to score 260 plus or 280. I haven't kept 300 or 310 there. Very practically I have kept it at 260 to 280. If somebody completes their optional, either through coaching or like end-to-end syllabus, all the topics, reading, understanding the concepts, remembering basic stuff in the optional, and writes one test series, right, with correct understanding of the subject, 240 to 250 they will score, right. Better value addition, more practice, good introduction, good presentation and everything, another like 20, 30. High specialization in the optional, right, like as if you have done masters in that particular subject, showing that much of mastery in the optional, 300 plus. People who have done honors in history or honors in geography, they are scoring 310, 320 in their optionals. Or people who have spent like 4 or 5 years invested in optional, read standard textbooks, made notes from the very standard sources, foreign authors and Indian standard authors, they are scoring 310, 320, right. So I don't think you need to go to that extent, right. If you come from that background, you use that knowledge, the pre-knowledge which exists, right, update. If you are going for a new optional subject, take your own time, next 8 to 10 months, right, every day 2 hours maybe, invest in such a way that the first half the concepts are very clear, first 3-4 months, you complete the syllabus, you understand the syllabus, you parallelly make the notes, and then revision and answering of the previous year question papers, right, next 2 months. Remaining 2 months, in the month of January, February, maybe you can go for the test series, you can write a test series. Or if you don't want to write a test series, maybe after prelims also you can do it. But if you have answered last 10 years question papers, maybe you can postpone. But don't focus too much on optional and compromise the general studies papers, right? Because most of you come with lack of GS knowledge or general awareness, because you haven't read newspaper regularly. Your course didn't allow for it, maybe, right? Not your fault. And you didn't read any books or all this geography, polity, economy. There is no prior knowledge, right? Only very residual, like very basic what you had learnt in the school, and right. Other than that, you have to build a very huge base of GS, right? So you have a structured approach here in the OGP program, right? So subject wise you are doing it. As I said, complete, revise, write the test. While writing the next test, revise the previous. You can do it. You can give actually one day, or take one day off from the class or something. Ensure that you revise the previous subject, right? So and then parallelly you are giving mock tests, prelims also, mains also, right? Don't miss a single test of both prelims and mains, right? If you just stick to the plan, and also sometimes what happens, you will get excuses. You will find excuses. Well, syllabus I haven't completed. I was not able to revise, I was not able to read, I was not able to make notes, I was not able to understand something, and you skip the test. Don't do that. Even out of 50 questions, you have learned only to answer even 10 questions in prelims, or in mains only to answer 2 or 3 questions, then also come and do justice to those many questions, right? You don't know the kind of confidence it actually builds. The reason is that the early start you make, early introduction to testing your knowledge while gaining it, while refining it, while enriching it. What it does is that it will open up your mind to various possibilities, in the sense that how further you can improve, how further you can experiment, right? You will learn lots of dimensions related to that particular topic while going through these tests. So in classroom you would have learned from 1 or 2 dimensions. Suddenly while framing question I have linked it with another dimension, which you wouldn't be able to think on your own, right? When you expose to the test, coming to classroom and answering the test is a different exercise compared to doing leisurely from home, right? Because you are under the test environment, there may be little fear and little stress, and when you are doing it, other people may be doing it, and you are investing your energy, right? The focus, concentration. So when you are investing your own thinking here, so it tries to go through whatever you have learned, whatever you have experienced, try to extract out of it. The more you do it, the more experiences similar to that you go through, it sharpens your thinking, it deepens your thinking. You will be able to better think in future tests. If you are not doing this, everything is passive, it's like consuming. You are consuming, but you are not sharpening. Ultimately in this examination, that is what is required in prelims. See, I am speaking to many people who have failed in prelims this attempt and have done well in last year prelims, right? So they have analytical ability to deal with last year prelims question paper, right? The depth of last year prelims paper, and the certainty. I mean, you should clearly know the fact to answer some of the questions, right? Last year they were able to score 90 or something, and some of them have become toppers, some of them have failed in CSAT but done well in paper 1, 90, 95. This year they are scoring 75, 80 or less than 85. What happened is that owing to lack of practice of giving mock tests, or lack of ability to adapt to the situation, uncertain situation. So suddenly the easy paper has come relatively compared to last year. They were not able to adjust to this, right? They were still seeing this question paper from the lens of previous year difficulty level, right? They have this experience of giving the difficult question paper, right? So they are still seeing this question paper from that level. So you are applying the same logic to the same, the easy question also. The easy question demands like maybe maximum 2 layer of interpretation or analysis, right? Now they are like going deeper, like linking it with so many other situations and contexts, and then you are overthinking and it is gone. So I keep hearing I have made silly mistakes, I have got all the easy questions wrong. So that problem you can overcome if you start giving these tests early, right? That experiment you should do, where to apply more logic, where to apply less logic. So we had written an article on our website actually. It was written in 2018 but still very relevant, right? Updated I think 2020. So here like we talk about how to apply your intuition, how to apply partial knowledge, how to do pure guess, right? Like through questions we talk about, I'll tell you, like how to solve this question. So how many layers of analysis you have to apply, right? So my suggestion is you go through this article, you will get some new insights, because some question requires straight away interpretation, no interpretation at all. This is right. Some question requires certain interpretation, ki this concept is applied in certain context. I have to see whether given 2-3 options, analyze them. So you should know where to stop intelligent guessing, to what extent you have to apply. So this article will help. So giving lots of tests will give you that kind of experience, and you will start trusting your instinct, right? You will trust your instinct. So if that instinct hasn't worked previously, right, you won't trust it. To trust someone, what you have to do? Meet them many times, right? Right? Or you should be familiar with them. If you are not familiar with them, and if you are not interacting with them, right, it's not easy to trust. Similar logic, the concept, or its application, the more times you invest your time, then you will start trusting. So in the examination, that's what happens. In the UPSC examination, you doubt your judgment. What if it, because it's a very serious examination, you have to pass it. So it's a real examination in the real UPSC environment. So that error in judgment happens because you doubt your own knowledge, your wisdom, because you haven't practiced enough, right? How do you stay confident? What is the source of confidence? Practice. In general, I am talking about, in general, to be confident in life.
Experience.
Self-assessment, okay. Experience,
Knowing what you are
good
doing.
experience, yes.
Knowing what you are doing. Like in any aspect.
Can you just walk in confidently, like I am confident in this situation? Or, so basically you have to build confidence in life, right? Confidence is something you build over a period of time. How do you build? You have to face variety of experiences, including lots of failures, lots of setbacks, right? Every time you are in an unfamiliar, unpleasant situation, and if you face it and you overcome it, right? So it's kind of a memory in your body, right? The confidence is kind of a memory. You are familiar with that situation. If you face that situation, you won't feel underconfident. You feel confident. Okay. So slightly even more bigger unpleasant, bigger setback. So you will be more confident. For example, I can address 1 lakh people, me, like now. So I have gained that confidence. When like 6-7 years ago, I used to get nervous to address even the 20-30 people, sitting in front of me. Now you put me in any situation, I can speak to any people, any big crowd or any. So the more you go through those experiences, similarly, the more test you give, the more low scores you come across, right? And in addition to scoring and all, you will also go through so many other experiences here, right? Personal setbacks, certain things will keep happening to you. Immediately just face them, accept the reality, and make peace with them. Just move on to the next step, and again be open to facing new challenges, new uncertain moments. So then you will face the biggest uncertainty with more confidence. So what we do is that we try to shy away from these experiences, right? We don't give these tests regularly because we are not comfortable, we are not prepared. We feel we are not prepared. We cannot be prepared for everything that happens in your life, right? You give it in an unprepared way, and then you find a solution, you become familiar, and then you will face another situation. Similarly, the UPSC also, right? So you have to, again, you have to start early to build that level of confidence or resilience. To build that level, you have to keep facing in more and more number. That is why, that is the logic behind making you write so many answers, giving you so many tests. So if everyone sitting in this room make use of these facilities, so you will achieve that kind of not only confidence but also knowledge level, skills. You will achieve those skills, and I think it will happen in a very natural way without building lots of stress, right? If you are able to give like 12 to 14 hours, so it will happen in a very natural way. To maintain motivation, to stay consistent, I think it's just the inner burning desire, Do you want it to end in 1 attempt, or do you want to end it in 5 or 6 attempts, right? So if you want to like prolong it for 2, 3, 4, 5 attempts, then stay inconsistent. Perfectly fine, you have enough support from your home and you are okay to be unemployed for next 4 to 5 years, right? You are okay to depend on your father and mother to get money from them, right? You are okay to tolerate the Delhi pollution, Delhi climate or weather, Delhi food, then otherwise you have got perfect opportunity to, it is possible. I will assure, like, if you do everything what is given, you will reach main stage, right? Once you reach clear the prelims and write mains, we can further refine, further improve. And if you do well in mains, and then again there is a process for interview, right? So that can also be taken care. There is a possibility here, right? I'm very honestly saying, right? So who will make you write, these many tests, these many essays? And we encourage you to write essays, and I checked few of your essays also, and again I will come in another 10 days. So bring your essays, right?
Started writing.
Just write. So Sunday topic we give, no? So what is religion to one is superstition to another. See, there are 108 comments. We announced we will give 1000 rupees for best essay, so we started. And we are actually evaluating them. All the essays which are posted, we are evaluating, we are commenting them, and also in Secure, I don't know how many of them written.
So there is a resistance that we have not done the topic. There is a resistance that we have not done the topic. And we don't
the
have
subject?
Religion, where are you going to learn about religion? Can you name the word? I mean, where is the religion word in which syllabus it is there?
GS1.
It is not there. No, you belong to certain religion, you are following religion, you know about religion, right? And you talk about religion in your day to day, I mean, whenever the thing comes, you talk about politics, you talk about superstition, right? You just have to keep an open mind. You know something about Hindu religion, you know something about Christianity, you know something about Islam, you know something about Buddhism, you know something about Shintoism or Taoism, or some other religions which are there. Just
So in this type of topic, we have to choose a side, that religion to one is superstition to another. Do we have to choose a side to realize this as a religion or superstition?
there are some topics where you have to choose a side. There are some topics which you have to just discuss all the dimensions of it without choosing a side, right? Like for this subject, you don't have to choose a side. You don't have to prove that, yes, for some religion is superstition. You don't have to go on proving it, right? You just go on analyzing it, why some people think other religion as inferior, superstitious. Why some people think their religion as superior, right? And what are the factors that give in for such kind of thinking, right? And you bring the dimension of science. So are religion scientific? You analyze in your own words. Is any religion scientific as they claim? Is any religion superstition as they claim? What is your own judgment? So you go on discussing. In the conclusion, you give your own way of looking at the topic, right? It can be middle path also, right?
Sir, are we supposed to give any references in essays?
Essays you have to compulsorily.
Like
Reference like literature books, philosophy books,
what if
or any literature.
an example from current affairs?
No, philosophical topics, don't give example from current, like for example, you have to look that current example from the topic's perspective, right? You should not just give as a reference. For example, you should not give X religion recent incident, abused the person belonging to Y religion in the recent some place name or something. So that is not suitable here. So you start analyzing why even in the modern times or even in the time of 21st century, so much of scientific revolution, why people behave in that manner, why did they behave under a democratic setup, under a free and open society. You got it. So that analysis if you do, then it is fine. If you are just mentioning that example, saying that it happened recently, then no use. Right. So yeah, so you don't have to learn on the go. What you can do, when you want to write in the beginning, yeah, that is also part of the, you learn about the topic for a week, every day 10 to 15 minutes. You choose the topic beforehand. For example, gender is spectrum, right? So you learn about the various aspects of gender, right? What feminists say, what various philosophers talk about, what is the new thinking about gender, how it is evolving, our understanding of the gender, how Supreme Court is, the very understanding of Supreme Court judges, how it is evolving, right? How legislators across the world, how they are thinking about, how different political parties think about the gender dimension, how religion are thinking about gender. So one day for religion and gender, right? Different religion and gender, different cultures and gender, right? American society, advanced economically for advanced societies, how do they look at the gender dimension? Just like 2 to 3 points, and then so he has done a video on this. Maybe you can watch. He's an IAS officer, right?
Can we take the examples of the Sabrimala temple issue?
You can take. You should take.
Because it is a current, but also it has an historical impact of a particular.
Analyze that example. So it's a major issue. It's a major issue. It's not a minor issue. You have to analyze. There have been interview question on the issue. I think mains indirect question on the issue, right? You have to talk about it. So then once you collect enough content ideas, so one fine day you sit for 2.5 hours and write the essay. I don't recommend to write within 1.5 hours in the beginning. Take it's okay 2 hours, 2.5 hours or entire day. You can write 2 pages now and then you can come back and again write 2 pages. In the beginning, at least first 4 or 5 essays, take your own time, right? But complete it, right? So once you become comfortable in collecting, over a period of time what happens, if you have collected enough content for keywords like religion, superstition, justice, knowledge, wisdom, freedom, something like these words, so they start coming together, overlapping in most like the words like education, success, happiness. So almost all philosophical topics revolve around these universal ideas and universal values and concepts, right? So you will have content for other essays. After writing 10 different essays, with 20 different keywords, so then you don't have to do research, right? You will also learn to use your GS knowledge, but don't just give this freedom struggle example for all the essays, right? Don't keep on giving only Gandhi, Buddha example, whatever you learn. So in all these, going back the first argument I made, in the next mains you should stand out more original, more unique. So you have to build for essay, ethics and optionally you have to build more original content, which means in essay none of your GS example should be there. So I want to see more philosophical arguments, philosophical references for philosophical topics, literature, like English literature, right? So collect standard, not standard, classical books, critically acclaimed, the books which have won, Booker, Nobel Prize for Literature, and there are many others like renowned, awards and prizes. So such literary works, and then non-fiction books, right? You can collect the summary, right? There is an app called Blink List. If you don't have time to read book, you can just go through that app and collect the ideas. Blink List, BLINKLIST, and also every Sunday, in the Hindu magazine or Indian Express, that supplement, they review books. Every Sunday they review books. So read that part. If you come across any book relevant to this essay, like books related to women, books related to education, books related to topics like this, if they are reviewed, right, collect some ideas and write. That is your essay value addition, right? If you repeat anything from the GS, it is gone, 100 or 105 or 106, not more than 120, right? And another thing, like with respect to essay, we discussed So another dimension is the psychology dimension. Within the essay, most of the philosophical topics deal with a psychological aspect of individual and society as well, right? They will be related to certain emotions. Mathematics is the music of reason, right? So the word reason is psychological, right? I'll just search psychology of reason. Let me see what we get. The psychology of also known as the cognitive science of reasoning is the study of how people reason, often broadly defined as process of drawing conclusions to inform how people. Okay, so there is a discipline related to that, right? So here while referring, don't go with Quora and other things, right? Go for the primary sources. If there is an article, I'll just add here, like let's say Harvard. Psychology of reasoning, structure and content. It's a book. It's a Cambridge book. I don't know if they have summary. This MIT open courseware is there, Introduction to Psychology. The psychology of moral reasoning. So, combination of philosophy and psychology is there here, right? This in case study, that is what you have to do: moral reasoning, moral justification, ethical justification, the course of the action. Why do you want to save an accident victim? Even when you have to attend a UPSC interview or something, like you have to be on time, but there is an accident. Like, what is the moral reasoning? What is the ethical justification, right? Either to attend the interview or either to save the victim. So you have to give, right? So where do you get them? So you just don't go too technical, right here. Enough to add, like, just glance through for 5 minutes, get certain ideas and just end it. You don't have to do research and dig deeper. It should be like 5 to 10 minutes of it. So like that, psychological dimension should be there, literature, similarly philosophical, which you learn as part of the ethics. But stay one step ahead, you don't wait for ethics class to happen, right? So now and then you can keep learning, newspaper it appears, and based on your curiosity, keep looking at the previous year question papers. So if somebody is extremely good with the moral philosophy of the ethics syllabus, they will do justice in the essay paper, right? So there they get all the the concepts and theoretical stuff. The fourth dimension is the sociological angle. See, these four are key to write unique and original essay: philosophical, psychological, sociological and literature. It can be English, it can be Hindi, it can be Kannada literature reference, but it should be mix of English literature and your own language, right? I mean, critically acclaimed book. Somebody might have won Gyanpith award, they would have written extremely good work. So some ideas from the book, right? In addition to this, I mean, most of the people usually write political, economic, right? And technological, legal. Wherever it is applicable, you can bring certain content from there, but don't make that as the major part in the philosophical topics, right? So you just start writing, we will see, and give yourself like 2 to 3 months time to start writing better essays. Or if you are already into the habit of writing, then maybe you can start writing good essays. If this is the first time you are going to write, give yourself at least 3 months of time. Don't panic that you are not able to write. 3 months time means at least 10 to 12 essays, experimenting with at least 10 to 12 different topics and essays. So then I think you will arrive at a place where you will start writing better essays. So, so this is what I wanted to convey, and
Sir, how to conclude the philosophical essays in what manner? I mean, if I do
so most of the essays try to provide more optimistic outlook in the end, right, and also more futuristic, optimistic and futuristic. These two should be the constituents of conclusion. Significance and context, introduction.
should I go with any thinker particular or statement?
It is up to your imagination. Use creativity in the conclusion. Conclusion, your creativity should be evident in the conclusion. You know, suddenly kind of bringing new, you can bring new perspective in the conclusion. There is no strict rule, you should not do this and all. What you should not do is just summarizing the topic. You should not do that. There should be something new in the conclusion also. It should be like open-ended, you know, you leave it to the imagination of the reader also, right. But within the context of the arguments you have made and within the context of the topic, it should not be like totally different, right. So how do I look at the topic, let us say in the future, from the perspective of technology, from the perspective of artificial intelligence, from the perspective of some topics related to, you know, some other major issues, right.
Sir, what is the word limit that we should have in our minds while writing?
Start with minimum 600 words, and in the actual UPSC 800 to 900 is the minimum words, 1200 words maximum. So in the beginning when you are writing, at least try 500 to 600 words. So don't unnecessarily write, you know, if you don't have any ideas and content.
So how to manage everything, like writing essays, classes.
Essay once in a week exercise, 10 minutes extra learning, right. So overall major focus, let it be on the foundation course, content building, understanding the concept, what is happening. As I told, agriculture, while doing agriculture, 80% of your time into learning the subject. Learning the subject includes previous year paper analysis, solving previous year questions and enriching the notes, right. So don't get involved with, you know, some other subject, or, you know, too much into optional also. Optional you do like 20% of your time. As I told you, GS base is very important. Now don't spend half day only into optional and, you know, try to compromise the GS part. And also what I want to convey is that though 25 is going to be your target, right, be open to 26 attempt also, in a way that build solid knowledge base, concepts, learn all the skills and give your first attempt in the 26 exam also. So have an open mind in that regard, so that, you know, you go on learning properly and then, you know, you give your best attempt rather than rushing to, you know, give 25 attempt with half learned concepts and subjects. But it's possible to give in 25 attempt. 14 hours strict routine for next 1 year, it is possible. No, it is possible to give 14 hours if it is.
दिल्ली में क्या है कि अब मतलब क्या है दिसंबर तक करना है पूरा मैच, मतलब एक प्रेडिक्शन चली है, फिर उसके बाद लोग प्रेडिक्ट कैसे करते हैं, और एक तरीके से अब कॉमन सेंस बन चुका है इधर की, मतलब आपको मेंस की प्रिपरेशन करनी दिसंबर तक करनी होती है, उसके बाद प्रेडिक्शन। तो इस समय में क्या होता है कि सर 5 महीने में जो क्या होता है कि लिखने का प्रैक्टिस छूट जाता है, तो ऑटोमेटिकली जो लेवल अचीव की होती है वो अटेन करना कम से कम 2 से 3 महीने लग जाता है, उतने में जो आ जाता है मैच। तो हम मतलब कि हमको इस सब मतलब कि इसको कैसे डील करना है।
So that I have been talking about like for many years, like why is it because of climate, food, or I don't know, people want to write answers, complete options till mains, and then suddenly January they want to start preparing for the prelims. So it is like, you know, like reverse pyramid, like, you know, you don't want to build your concepts and, you know, basics first. You suddenly want to jump into mains and learn all the big skills, advanced skills, and then start focusing on the basics. It should be simultaneous process, right? So this OGP, I mean till April we encourage you to write answers even if you are giving in 25 attempts. The logic of integrated approach is that, see, there is a objective test and there is descriptive exam, right? So objective test tests your concepts as well as facts, and also in some questions application of the concepts. So in descriptive, it is your ability to critically analyze, comment, examine all these concepts in linking them with the broader issues of significance to humanity, like socio-economic, political, ecological, ethical, whatever it is. So your ability to analyze, discuss an issue where you have to show deeper understanding, right? Both prelims knowledge and mains knowledge are not separate from each other. They are perfectly complementary. So in fact, I believe 80% of the syllabus overlaps. So what do you have in prelims? It's just the expanded version in the mains in GS 1, 2, 3 papers, right? Maybe except for world history, except for ethics, anyway, it's a separate paper. No, internal security, they can still ask questions related to, so it comes under the social issues, right? And in broadly looking at, terrorism as a social issue, if you can look at it that way. So again, security issues is not just terrorism, it's about defense forces, it's about defense policies. So there is a overlapping with so many other, like economic angle, political angle. So there shouldn't be no separate preparation for prelims. You don't have to, what people think is that separate preparation means start giving mock tests from January onwards, prelims related. They start solving previous year question papers, prelims mocks from January onwards. So why don't you think that the prelims is in the month of November or December, right, and complete now itself? What is stopping you from doing that? You can be perfect with prelims, like 6 months ahead of the prelims itself, right? So what is stopping you basically? When you study something for prelims, it is not separate from UPSC syllabus. It's part of the UPSC syllabus. It is going to be useful for the mains. So I keep telling, when some people are focused only on prelims, even between January to May, all that knowledge you are going to accumulate during that time is of so much significance for the mains part, immediately after prelims. But they are only focused from the prelims perspective, like objective questions. They don't remember most of it for the mains examination. The same Buddhism question, right, they would have solved like so many questions on Buddhism or Jainism or some other architecture or literature, right? But if I ask 250 word question, they struggle to recall examples. After prelims, they struggle to recall example and enrich their answers, right, unless their memory is really sharp. But if they haven't integrated prelims come mains, right, then it becomes difficult. If you are integrated and prepared both from prelims and mains perspective, it becomes continuous process. You will not have that kind of gap, and you will not panic to write answers even in the month of March or April also. And then suddenly after prelims you will have this continuity, right, in answer writing and in essay writing. So otherwise what happens? You will see the gap and it will take another 1 month or 1.5 months to gain back that momentum, which you had prior to December. So just see, you should have confidence and trust in what we are doing, right, and just continue with this approach. So this is the reason many students ruin their attempt and precious years looking at this exam. I think it came like that because coaching industry here started focusing on courses. During mains time, when people are writing mains, they want to launch lots of courses and they started selling it for everyone. Even though you were a fresher, you do mains practice because mains people are writing. They want more registration or something. It might have come like that. So December they are writing mains, so this phase only main specific. After that you start with prelims. So don't do that. Which means daily solve MCQs, our website quiz, previous year question papers, and every week whichever mock test we are giving, you have to give. So that is why we have very beautiful program IPM also, like integrated prelims cum mains. From the very first week, same syllabus, full length prelims, full length mains. If somebody gives even 60% of those tests, so they will be done with entire prelims and mains preparation. Fine. So wish you all the best. You have doubt? Huh? Thank you, Acha. Fine. So we'll again meet maybe after another 10 or 12 days. And after mains, I'll be very frequently coming here because we'll be doing mock interviews in Delhi. That is my favorite program, one-on-one mocks. So I used to do like 500, 600 mock interviews. I mean, for 500, 600 candidates, selected for interview. So very enriching, very exciting program. So during that time, you will be meeting so many people who will be coming for giving the interviews in the very same setup. So at that time, you can interact with them also. Keep learning from everyone. Implementing is up to your judgment, but you can keep learning from everyone. And while you are pursuing this course, don't get distracted, either because of fear or either because of insecurity or whatever it is. Stay focused. Enjoy learning. Everything, whatever you are learning, right? Whatever you are reading, show curiosity, show enthusiasm, right? In learning, don't see it, like I don't like this subject, it is irrelevant. So don't, judge anything like that. So everything actually helps eventually. So okay, all the best. Thank you.